All right, let's get this going. Ugh. Are you ready, Kat? Are you ready? We're going to do some virtual co-working here. Let me just the audio's working. Yeah, so this is me, Dave, again, and I'm working on some JavaScript stuff. This is not build time, but it will apply to a billable project. And what I'm going to do is look at some of the JavaScript tooling that I've been using. To save time, we were going to use the existing tooling, but I thought I kind of wanted to review what I'm using, and at the same time develop a better understanding of why I'm using these tools. I think I have a pretty good understanding, but it doesn't hurt to test it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write up some stuff first and see how this goes. I'm expecting this stream to be an hour maybe, or longer. We'll see. It's Happy Bubble Time, and Happy Bubble Time has no... It's explorative time where you don't have to think about how efficient am I being with my time. Am I wasting time by chasing these rabbit holes? No, you're in Happy Bubble Time. Be happy about it. Learn stuff. Check out stuff. Come to conclusions. At the end of it, probably should have a few actionable insights that may be worth keeping. So I'm going to switch over to my regular screen over here. And I'm going to open up docs.ds cowork, which is our virtual co-working room's open repository for stuff. And I'm going to make a document here. You can get to this place if you go to well, how do you get here? If you go to davidsay.com/docs-ds-cowork, I believe that takes you there. Yeah, this is the URL. So it'll link you to this open folder here. So what I was going to do anyway was I was going to make a new document in here about picking a tool chain. Let's call this 2018. I'm not sure tool chain is actually the right term. JavaScript tool chain. Oops, I just lost my... All right. So what is a tool chain, you ask? It's the stuff that you use to make a web app. We're deploying a new web app project. That will run on Mac OS in the command line. It will involve stuff. What stuff does it involve? Okay, so what would be a good succinct way of describing the tool chain? I'll just make a list here. There's a directory structure. With a clear source, built structure. What I'm trying to say is, like, you can tell where your source code is, where the built files are. That's under source control. I just almost lost my mouse. What else do you need in one of these things? You need the tooling. Need scripts to compile from source to built. Need scripts to do, or I should assume that that's in place. And a script execution. What else do you need? Well, as you have the scripts, you need to I guess I'll call this a master script. Master script tool and a scripting environment. Let's just call it master script. So I'm thinking about something that you run. I guess we should just call this a task runner. Task runner. Then you need things that handle web app stuff. Need web app front end framework. We also need a back end server. We need a data binding strategy. Also, I guess there's some other. We also need a data persistence strategy. I'm not sure strategy is the right word. Try not to sound like a douchebag. Let's see, what else do we need? Oh, we need debugging, or we need a runtime development server and a strategy for moving or packaging for what do they call it? Production? They don't work in a real web team, so these terms are unfamiliar. Not packaging. That would be nice. That's not necessary for this project. We need, what else do we need? Oh, we need a modular code strategy. Need a what's that thing called when you are making editors? What's this called? This is like a style. Oh, what's that called? I'm blanking on the source code style. And style enforcement. What else do we need? I don't remember. So let me look at this list and see if this makes sense. Makes sense. Is there a natural hierarchy to how you describe this stuff? It's kind of a hodgepodge right now. So let's just write down some decisions I've made in the past. The past version of this, or a past version, this looked like this. So I'm going to make a bunch of bullet points here and and then figure out how to reorganize it. I should actually time this. Actually, since I'm streaming this, I can see how long it took me to do this later, so I don't have to time this in my actual timesheet. I wish I had more coffee, though. Oh, but this might be a good time to go and get one of those zesty blood orange Diet Cokes, which tasted so terrible earlier today. So let me go get that. All right, so this is colder now, and this might dull its terrible flavor. I had one of these earlier. It tastes like Johnson & Johnson's children's aspirin, or it's like potpourri in a church bathroom. That's kind of what it reminded me of. Or it's like the aftertaste of an Orange Julius, except not as good. Yep, that's exactly what it tastes like. Yeah, it's what I like about Diet Coke is it has a sort of crisp, unapologetic bite to it. If you're not used to diet sodas, it's like the worst tasting thing ever. Um, just because like the sugar doesn't taste like real sugar. This seems like it has almost this powdery, sugary aftertaste. It's more of an aroma than it is a flavor. Oh, well, someone asked me, am I making a game? It's making a real-time visualization engine. Eventually we'll be using something called D3, which is a visualization library. So this is not a game engine. Although my past tooling was using WebGL, using 3JS for that. That's coming from the C# XNA environment from about 4 years ago. So yeah, this is going to be kind of a real-time graphics program. So somewhat game-like, but it won't have a game loop in it. It'll be event-driven rather than simulation-driven. So I'm going to look at my past tooling here. So what did I use? How would I describe this? Let me even get rid of the bullet points and just kind of free write what this is. How do you say it? Mr. PhD. Okay. So, all right. So a past version of this looked like it was NodeJS. It was, what is this auto capitalization crap? Stop it. Is it this? I didn't even know that this did that. I'm assuming that it's correct. Is this a new thing? Spelling. Ugh. Now it's starting to irritate me. Preferences. There are preferences. No. Yes. No. Oh wait, maybe these are okay. No. Well, some of these are okay. Not these. No, I'm going to turn them all off. I don't need them in the... I hate autocorrect and auto replacement. Mr. PhD asks, so what does it get used for? This is for our Learning Sciences project grant, making a data entry form that has built-in visualization using something called network graph analysis. So you enter in a bunch of nodes, and then you connect the nodes, and you weight the nodes, and then you get a visualization that you can move around with the mouse, and as you are using this to kind of play around with it, you can see the relationships and then draw insights from it. So this is something that's being taught in a college-level digital humanities course, and the idea is the goal of the class is to teach reading comprehension from texts. And so not only does this have to do that thing, it needs to have logging built in, so the investigators who are going through this project or running this project, they can see how they entered it, where they made mistakes and wanted to correct things. And this is a way to access this approach lead to increased comprehension? Was there an increase of errors because of this? How did people link stuff together? So that's what this tool will be for. Essentially, there's a few parts to it. There's data and the data entry part. There is which is like a front-end web form UI. Which is with predictive entry that will allow you to reuse or check against the data you've entered before. That data then can get visualized through a visualizer module. And then we have an import-export feature in addition to the core visualizer, so we can move the data into other tools like something called Google Fusion Tables and something called Gephi, or just get the data out in some way. No, it's I don't know anything about neural networks, Mr. PhD. It's it's like a form of directed graph. So it's kind of like a binary tree, except in a binary tree it's unidirectional. But if you imagine the leaf nodes of a binary tree, like moving up into something like that. Yeah, this is not going to be quite a game coding live stream. So you might check in later and see if there's anything interesting for it. For game coding, you might look on Twitch, actually, and look at their game coding stuff there. Well, good luck for looking for that. So this is really about visualizing data for educational purposes. And I'm curious, though, what kind of games are you thinking about writing or interested in? I was working on a space game, actually. Let me see if I can find it in my GitHub repo. So, my project 1401A1 project. Oh, what's this? Great. I'm going to update all this stuff. This was an HTML5 JavaScript video game framework that I was doing a few years ago. And it has like a tiny... It's like really fragmentary, but it's an interesting to look at. Let's see if it runs still. CD 1401A1. I started porting this to a new structure. So you build. I think I'm using Gulp here. Yeah. Let's see. What did that say again? We're running this. It's built the project. Let's see if it actually runs. Ugh, damn screen. Localhost 3000. Should remember that. So here's like a little demo space type game. Just very rudimentary physics and stuff. Game loop and all that stuff. I would like to get back into this someday, but that's not going to be today. Hey, good luck finding a game stream, Mr. PhD. All right. So anyway, let's get back to doing this thing. Good thing this is a happy bubble time, because I just get to explore anything that I want to. Anyway, the tool chain. Was using NodeJS with Gulp. Okay, NodeJS is the scripting environment. I guess you could call it the script host. Let's call it that. Script host for, this was for the task runner, Gulp. Also for server, application server, which was Express. And then also, we weren't using any database stuff. Let's say an OS integration or a OS services integration bridge. It's like file system. That's essentially what we used it for. Gulp, Express, NodeJS. Oh, he's Mr. PhD is still here. Yeah, that's on GitHub. If you just go to GitHub/DaveSay. I don't know if this is. Let me set up my zooming here again. Accessibility preferences. Zoom, picture-in-picture options, adjust size and location. Let's move this back over here. Done. Yeah, so the repo for this, if you go here, github.com/Dave/Dave1401. And the thing that might be interesting to you in this, if you go to the wiki, I was trying to document all the decisions I made. Although what I didn't do was go into all the other various aspects of the system. I had intended to document this stuff, but you can just see things like the game loop that might be interesting to you if you're new to this kind of stuff. But I would say like your master game loop, the sysloop module is interesting to look at. I'm not sure if the way I'm doing it is like the cleanest way to do it, but it was an interesting way of breaking things down. The render is a piece of junk, or rather, it wraps 3JS in a bunch of concepts that are helpful for me. Maybe the best thing about this architecture is it has the idea of pieces. It separates the simulation time step from the piece representation from the visual representation, and so you can have like you can modify things on the data level, and then have visualizations be tacked onto that. The render is somewhat okay, and that it has cameras and it has a fairly okay viewport representation. What I don't like about it is that it's not very clear. This was like one of the first JavaScript projects I had made, so I wasn't really that comfortable with how to represent data and namespaces in JavaScript. So it's an iterative process to get this super clean. Right now, this kind of works. This is my second refinement of it, but it's not quite teaching ready, I would say. I would really like to get it to the point where it's in a place where you could teach, like, make really simple games and have it really clear and teach the concepts of what a simple time step driven game would look like. It's got AI in it, but it implements behavior trees, maybe not particularly well. But that stuff is there. If you look at, it's nice to see another behavior tree implementation. It doesn't have things like pathfinding built in and all the good stuff. If anything, it's a nice repository of code that is working, that can be refined into better code that works. But someday. So let's see. So I have Node.js. What else did I have in this? I guess it might be easier just to look into what I actually have in one of these. Let's look at my last repos. So one of the other, if I just open up GitHub on the other side here. So looking for one of the past projects that we worked on. Here's my 1701. Repositories. The current one is... Where's all the other projects? Here. So I can just look at the tooling here. And the way to look at the tooling would be go into the build folder and look at the I can tell from here actually. Let's look at package.json. Oh, that's still not updated. Oh, this is the wrong branch. We want to be on actually I guess that would be alright. If I look at base plus game though, this will be the very, very basic branch. Another thing we want to do is need a GitHub branch strategy. And not really. I'm really pleased with the way that we're currently doing it. So I'm looking at this and looking at all these things. This is based on, these are probably not necessary anymore. Pretty sure that this was from an old framework we were using. Okay, so we can see we have Gulp. Client-side JavaScript package manager, package management, management, which was Bower, which I want to get rid of. Server plus client side JavaScript package management, which was also npm, although we started using yarn. What else did we do? We had Gulp. We also had live reload stuff. I'm gonna break these all into separate things. This will be Gulp, which might not be the new hotness. I heard in the chat room that people are just running 8 npm scripts. For script host for task runners, task runner scripts, application server, and operating system services bridge. So things like getting access to UDP and so forth. So Gulp. Oh, we got to format this. We had Gulp, Express.js, Bower, npm, and yarn. I'll put on a separate thing, because really I'm looking for a list of what we're currently using. Gulp, Express.js, Bower, npm, yarn. So what else are we doing? Gulp. This was our task runner. Liked it because, well, actually, I guess you should break out what a task runner does. Task runner for, let's see, linting, lint, compile, lint, compile, copy to built, live reload, app server, launch app server, and live reload. Now each of those things has something. For linting, what did we use? It's probably not in this particular one. Need to look at the more recent build. Div bees is probably, I think, the most recent one under development. Dev bees, if we look at package.json now, we'll see a whole bunch of additional crap. Live reload, so here we want linting, or is the linter in here? I think we're using ESLint. ESLint. Source code linting. Augmented with Sublime text plugin. Using same config. We also, for compiling, what do we using for that? We're using, actually this is transpiling, not compiling in this case, transpiler. Our transpiler is, I think, Babelizer, Babel. Babel for transpiling. Compiler, yes. AVX6 features, React. transpiler for ES6 features and React. Is it called Babel or is it called debabble? I keep mistaking it for this old graphics conversion tool called Debabbleizer, which we used in the 90s. And what else are we using in this? So we had the copy to built. That was Gulp. Launching the app server. For live reload, we used... there's all these other options. I don't think we're using... what is the live reloader? It's... this is a really confusing to implement because all the internet tutorials use different ones and they make them sound like they're part of the task runner. I think we just use... I use an extra package for it. ESLint FS extra... What was it called? Why don't I see it referred to in here? It should be an NPM package, so why isn't it in here? When was this? This one should have it in here. Am I just blind? React, let's just look. Record RTC, ugh. Redux, ugh. Acquire.js, that was our module loader. TinyLR. TinyLR. Live reload. Trigger. What else am I missing here? Let's just stick with that for right now. Everything else is sort of in Gulp. Express.js was our app server. It was also our web service. Let's call this the HTTP app server. Web service provider. Is there anything else that this did? I suppose it might be. Let's just figure out the rest of the client-side package manager. This NPM was server side and now and sometimes client-side package manager. Yarn, better package manager for Node, for browser. Browser, JavaScript, libraries. Better package manager for NodeJS. Oh, this is a better dependencies. Alright, so what else am I missing from this? And sequence slug tracer. The rest of this is, you know, not... I'm talking really about the basic stuff, not the additional features. So I think the next thing to look at for the old one would just be to look at the Gulp file, which is this, and see what our Gulp tasks were. We were cleaning, this is merge npm assets. I wonder actually write a reverse version of this. One thing I am missing is how to implement unit testing for client and browser. Let's call these open questions. I've not done any unit testing before, but it would be nice to try implementing that now. Why is my stream health so low? .com, Dave, yeah. A1. Get a little stuck. That all messed up. Let's put these open questions at the bottom. Let me just start complaining about stuff or decisions. Oh, we haven't talked about the front end stuff. This is the basic tooling. For basic tooling, we had this. For the web app front end, we use this. Gotta promote these back up here. Insolent, Babel. Oh, I'm missing, entirely missing something. We use require.js, module script, and dependency. Async dependency handling. Client. So I'd use require.js to load, but for our front end we use React. And actually let me bullet point to this. Doink. React for a GUI. React router. Okay, we had to get into all this messy stuff now. For a reading configuration. Let's go back to the package. Package.json, if you don't know, this is the thing that tells NodeJS's, is it Node.js? No, NPM, what libraries to load. So you have dependencies for the app and you have the dependencies for the development process, which are not the same thing. Bootstrap. What else did we have? Handlebars, we didn't really use it, but the list is for template. We don't do easy for templating? Not really. React, Bootstrap. This is one thing I didn't like about React, with all these additional module things that were a pain in the ass to load. React DOM, React router. React router, some of these are out of date too. Redux was not a fan. That was basically most of it. I don't know if we're really using Gulp changed here. We use the following. Bootstrap. GUI components and the data binding. React router was used for this was used for navigation. Didn't like it. React Bootstrap. Damn it. I'll do all this. React Bootstrap was I have this twice. Necessary glue for React router. Web app. Navigation. Redux. Overly complicated state management. React DOM, necessary glue for React router, React Bootstrap, necessary glue for Bootstrap, element. This is our CSS framework. Responsive even. It's like the base. GUI component definition. Data binding. Directive. What are their basic libraries? And component and widgets. HTML widgets. React Bootstrap. For Bootstrap. Oops, what did I just do there? Redux. Overly complicated state management. Glue. That's state management. React Redux. Integration of Redux into React component or React lifecycle. React router. Web app navigation. Routes for did this also include elements? Routing support in React compatible elements. That's for React router, handlebars. This was like a template used to pass environment variables into use to pass server environment values variables into web app on browser. Cumbersome. Actually, I guess this is what we used. It's kind of nice to see it all laid out. Oh, also YAML. Read configuration files. Now there's some additional data library stuff. All right, let me think about let me ponder out loud for a bit. So these are those were the technology elements that we'd used before. Do I have impressions? Let's just write these down. So things I remember from this sucking. Gulp was fine. Live reload strategy was not clear in Gulp because we're not using a optimized script packager like Webpack or Browserify, because frankly we didn't need them. Didn't need them, and I thought the additional layer of processing, just obfuscation, really didn't help us for the project. Besides, with HTTP2, small scripts are better than large scripts. Plus Webpack sucks. I'm not a fan of it. I will say I prefer minimal configuration rather than heaps of crap, e.g. Creeps of poorly structured and undocumented and poor ad hoc structure, let's say. Structure. Minimal principled configuration over ad hoc. Kitchen sink approaches. Which is why I don't like browse Webpack. What was the other thing? What else do I want to say? I want good documentation. I want clear, principle-driven documentation over a garbage pile heap of shitty tutorials that do nothing, that do not teach. Architectural, do not reveal. Architectural design decisions. So I guess some elements, let's call this open questions and observations. What are the things I don't like? Babel is necessary for React. Express, so we're going to drop Bower. Initial decisions. Drop Bower. Since NPM yarn is now increasingly used for both server and client side JavaScript. Do we need handlebars? Or any templating? We're writing single page apps. So our templating needs are pretty minimal as we're doing everything client side. Maybe we should look into server side templating, but I don't know what that buys us. Adding to the list of open questions and observations, I want very simple pull the repo and type 3 commands to get from to see something. Workflow. An extra colon. Starting to get hungry. Did I eat today? We're gonna drop our repos. There might be some server-side utilities. Let's see. Sometimes we use Jquery too. Do we want to somehow get rid of it? On the server side, actually I think we do use it some places. Jquery. This is loaded for... Because we have Jquery, do we need handlebars? DOM manipulation. I don't have the version number for that. Is there much overlap between handlebars and Jquery? It's kind of an interesting question. I actually don't know. Handlebars, we also use underscore, I think, in places, which I think does overlap stuff. Let me put this up here. underscore. This is also loaded to provide utilities. For collections that extend JavaScript. Oh, I should also mention I actually had like a JS hacks thing. This is these were syntactic sugarings. Garbage. Oh, what's it? What's the term for it when you I monkey patched onto JavaScript. Into JavaScript. Probably want to get rid of those. Get rid of my JS hacks. Maybe. This would require rewriting our module definitions. Different style though. For classes. But now that real classes are in JavaScript, we can sunset these. That is true. There was no, when at the time I made that, there were no, the class definitions weren't in use. Everything was this prototypical inheritance garbage, which is still there, which is actually pretty cool, but setting up the inheritance chain was a pain in the ass. Let's see. Is there overlap between handlebars and underscore? Is underscore even necessary with the current version with ES6? We have some async library stuff too that I had to handwrite. I have things like promises. Overall, in general, look for opportunities to convert old asynchronous code callbacks to promises or other newy ES6 plus code. Can we replace require JS with ES6 modules? We do need some we had master JS, our application loader that implemented time step, or actually this is 1401. And application lifecycle base simulation events and crude lifecycle. management. We need to rewrite that. Handlebars underscore Jquery and new ES6. I get the feeling that a lot of this can be removed. It's just that old modules. Let's see, our utility libraries. Our dependent libraries, third-party libraries. Might load them anyway. I think one decision to make is, in general, try to minimize third-party library use. To avoid dependency. This used to not be an issue, but we would just some ancient package breaks in the chain. It's really annoying. If it's not well maintained, I'll bring the code inside. It's not well maintained and active. Don't use it. Import the code instead. Alright, so these are some initial decisions I'm making. So what would our new stack be? Oh, there's some possibilities. Possibilities for improvement. Oh, I'm going to define our indent style will be hybrid. Tabs for initial indent, spaces for alignment. With a 120 car rule boundary, a wrap boundary. Tab size is 4 spaces. Because that's just the way I like it. Possibilities for improvement. React Redux, data binding, state management is a pain in the ass. So write our own. We don't need, I shall put this in our observations. So write our own. We do not need playback on simple undo for this initial prototype. Plus writing state. Meh. So I'm going to write some kind of reuse our simpler state manager with React, but try to anticipate replacing it with Redux stuff. Maybe wrap Redux style calls, or think of wrapping Redux later in our module rather than use it directly. Event management. So possibilities for improvement. Event management. It's all over the place. We want a nice system for... Oh, one thing we did also was Unisys. We had some of our own system extensions on the front end. We made other Unisys. This was our network packet communicator. Command protocol for shipping data between apps, server, and other apps. Transaction based. I think we want to extend it. Extend reuse Unisys, rewrite 1401 loader, so for web app style events rather than time step based events. Can we support both? We actually did set up a React Redux thing, or a React, no, actually I don't remember what we did. We want a nice system for cross-application events, broadcasting, chaining, etc. There's stuff in JavaScript now. EXX Plus handles this now, that we can maybe reuse. Callbacks. Closures. Also for timers. This includes timers, animation callbacks, or animation trigger. What's that thing? It's the flags in some sense. flags, reading state of various queues, filtered gated triggers. That would be a hell of a thing to write. But think about how to do that. We should be able to make a list of everything we've done. I should be able to make a list for this. We also want to have improved lifecycle. Application lifecycle support. Similar to 1401 sysloop. But more comprehensive. And better and more opinionated. We want this to be more opinionated than about data binding. When GUI configuration happens, how this ties into the overall event management strategy. I should probably mention 1401 sysloop. Sysloop. It also includes something else. Also was our main module loader after a key part of our Bootstrap from the initial index.js file loaded into the browser. And our settings management. Improved settings management and caching. Would be nice it was implemented as a module, but it was cluttered with other lifecycle management stuff that should be refactored out of it. Settings would be nice to have just for app settings, loading, sets of settings, and so forth. Integrate application data management persistence into the life cycle of the app, into lifecycle support. We want to provide a means of loading, saving data to the server, and also tie in the cache management twit. It would be nice to have web workers. Or what's that term for it? Maybe add web workers for improved performance. Can we run our 1401 style system as web workers? So this happens in the background. As well as offline operation. Okay, what else can we improve for this? What are some of the things that would bite us in the ass? At a general level. I don't know. It's not coming to me. This is a good start, though. Fortunately, we don't have the budget to do all of this, so what's decisions we're going to make? (2018) decisions. Oh, actually, I already had some, didn't I? Initial decisions. Final working. Let's see. No comments. There's 2 people watching. Hello, people. All right. So what is our stick? I think I'm gonna stick with Gulp. Our node. What version though? Ugh. I think I had to add this to our. What version of NodeJS will we use? What version of JavaScript will we target? What version of Bootstrap? What version of React? Plus, React has changed considerably since we looked at it. We last, I think they're up to React 16 now, right? Might as well just use the latest one. I think we'll use Bootstrap. We'll use the latest of everything. JS latest, which is what? NodeJS. I'm going to assume the latest supported one. What is the 8.9.4? What are the latest features? Why not use them? Oops. Can we... Releases. What are the releases? How do you even know? Docs. What's cool about... It's a modern version of V8. ES6. This is interesting. How do you know what's in there? This is the inspector. That's not the debugger, right? We'll be using that debugger. 8.9.4. It's maybe too much. What's new in Node 9.5? This is an older article, but Node 8 is going to long-term support. Asynchronous resource tracking. I guess we should go with Node 8. PM5, better performance. And native add-ons. HTTP2, yes. Oh, wait. Experimental. Node 9. Oh, this actually might be better. Associate unique code with this. This sounds better error messages. I like this. Async hooks module provide an API for registering callbacks that track asynchronous resources. That sounds nice. But it's experimental. These are still experimental. Oh, let's use what we know as JS 9. This is for not entirely stable, but deprecates APIs that are going away. It might be a terrible decision. Needs to be on top of things. Maybe we should just stick with LTS. Is that you spelled? This will create more of a burden on us. I'm wondering if it's maybe not a good idea to do this. I kind of want the new stuffs, but .9.5 is how long? When did Node 9 come out? I guess I would find Node 9.5 releases, patch notes, changelog. You can use HTTPS programming. Oh, that's something we need to concern. How to be secure in our HTTP use. Database cleanup tools. What database? REST API. Database store. What's Bagel? I don't know what this stuff is. Reasons to upgrade. Unicode. This is, I think, for a specific software package. Oh, this is for BigFix 9.5. Why do you suck so badly, search engines? Wasting my time. Oops. Verbatim, thank you. Oh, this is still not releasing. This isn't verbatim. Changelog. Maybe this is what it is. All right. Nine point oh. Older experimental APIs are gone. Static codes. 919, notable changes. Upgraded OpenSSL, always a good thing. Real paths now exposed. Sounds nice. Whatever that is. What's this? Both 1. Oh, crypto. Did I just look at this one? That was 9.2. 9.3. Can add trace events to async hooks. Console debug can be used outside the inspector. Built-in modules, add-ons. This is all a little bit over my head because I don't know the system well enough for the kind of stuff we do, but I'm going to assume that this is not a bad idea. All these things probably don't affect me. Yeah, I think it will be okay. Not LTS. But our relatively simple use. Okay, so we're doing that. We're going to use Gulp. Although, okay, we'll use npm scripts for task running. Since Gulp kind of is the same thing. We can just, and then we can add vinyl or something like that. Is that a good idea or not? Let's start with Gulp. And transition to npm scripts equivalents. I need to look for a... I will stick with the require.js as module loader. No, wait. Try using ES6 as... No, well... We are starting from... We don't have budget to develop the new tooling from scratch. So our approach is to do incremental improvements. Start with ES6 scripts modules in writing core. Rewriting 1401 as a web app host. Require.js is backup. Bootstrap 4 plus React. What is the current version of React? Development status, cross-platform. I think it's huge. We could look at Vue.js too, but I think React gives us something like native components, and I know that some of the other team members are into React as well. I particularly like it. The license change too. React 16. ES6 modules. Bootstrap 4. Is that everything we need to do? All JavaScript libraries managed with Yarn. Try to avoid... I think, is that enough? What are we going to use for live reload? Pick Evaluate a range of live reload solutions that work with NPM scripts, not Gulp. Although technically it doesn't need to be Gulp compatible. Is there even a new version of, I think Gulp, the reason I'm thinking of getting away from Gulp, even though I like it, is that it doesn't seem to have been maintained. I think it's fallen out of favor. Is it true? What is the current version of Gulp docs? What was the last commit on this? December, that can't be right. Is it true? Is there a 4.0 branch? The last commit for this was May 12th, 2016. Let's see. It's not very promising. String replacing Gulp. I don't want to use Webpack. Replacing Gulp with what? Gulp task runner. Which task runner for web developer should I learn? And yeah, let's see what people say. It's all old stuff. I think it's dead. When was this written? 2017. A node module is a feature. It's code splitting. People are still using Grunt. I don't like Grunt. This is not an answer. It's long though. I guess it's useful. They're different. Yep, that's what I was gonna. You can combine them, orchestrate, and package. You can write your own scripts. Useful. Webpack, Grunt, Gulp, browser, brunch. What's brunch? Broccoli. What's broccoli? Broccoli task runner. This is something I haven't heard of. Here's a comparison. 2015. See, this is an example of the kind of configuration I don't want to do. Gulp code is configuration. I like it. It's one big connection of tubes. Broccoli. Uses trees. Oh, okay, it's code logic. This is intriguing. Let's go to the broccoli. Brocolli.js. Is there actually no... This is where he just was. There's a bunch of plugins for this too. What is this? Fast, reliable asset pipeline. When was this last committed to? This is relatively sustained. Is Brocolli the new hotness for code logic configuration? Whatever it means. Module exports, app directory. I like how it works with, I think I like how it works with trees. Module exports is equal to new funnel. Brocolli funnel. You must put the plug in your dev dependencies. And it's kind of confusing. That's interesting. Evaluate server, app server security principles. Is Joe this? That's funny. Brocolli. Introduction. Is this just not, is this production ready? No. Ember. Under the hood uses Brocolli.js. The library uses, why Ember uses Brocolli? It's making me sign up for something. Oh, this is crap. You are losing me. I'm live reloading. Building for the future. JavaScript. Uglification, vendor and view module. We grunt, didn't like this way. And then we had Gulp, we wanted to code compiler, got slow. But it's kind of hard to configure. JS is different. Yeah, that's true. He works on trees. File system. Think of directories. Trees can be manipulated to various plugins, copy files, preprocess files, convert them to one format, blah, blah, blah. The trees work. And don't contain file content. They're essentially represent state. Once all declared manipulations have been done on the tree, it gets processed. At that point, it's actually read and operates. Huh. Oh, that's really cool. Here's, you make it Brocolli. So you make, so install Brocolli CLI. Save dev Brocolli. It includes a built-in express local development server. Where is the development server? Is that just built into Brocolli CLI? Okay, I guess so. There's more stuff to learn how to do. So you create a funnel from app root, files, dester. Funnel takes an input node and returns a new node with only a subset of the files. Take an input string directory selecting on the index HTML. Dester, where's dester? There. So where's the Brocolli? Let's read the target dist. Broccoli serve. Oh. Okay. Multiple trees. You have a bunch of these things. Blah, blah, blah. So how do you set this up? So require this, funnel approot, files blat, JS, funnel approot. So we have these three funnel-y objects, and it merges all the trees. Are these all going to the same district? Assets, assets, index. Okay. The CSS is so cool. I'm going to use the Broccoli SAS source maps. What the hell is that? Here's the SAS stuff. Is it SAS I like or stylus? I think I like stylus better. Where's the compile? Compile SAS. CSS is the compile SAS. And then you combine, I guess these all output trees of some kind? Source maps are a great way to see styles come from. Enable supplies options. Babel. Okay, so this has a bunch of this looks like it'll do everything we need. Poly browser fill force map declare JS unusable. So just accounts has been changed to var. Creating a debugger statement. Import using the following syntax. Which is the required JS? Oh, look at that as ES6. Oh, that's weird. That's not node compatible A and D calls. Roll up, what's that? Next generation module bundler. Huh. Maybe we will make a new task runner. This will be fast. It'll save us time. Look at Brocolli as our replacement task runner. And I'll do this on my own time. Let just a new raw app root. Input files. What does it do? Pass the input filter files. NodeJS file. Record just rewrap. Rollup is more intelligent. Hoist module to first class systems. Is that what we want? how's the hoisting? Tree shaking. Front bar from .foo. So where's the switchcraft? Live reload. This looks like a pretty complete setup. Huh. I like it. Hopefully it's not dead. Let's do a search for that. Is Brocolli JS dead? And again, this is being stupid. Why is this? I guess. Let's see what the issues are in Brocolli.js. Maybe that will give me a sense. Brocolli issues. There's 23 issues. 158 close issues. Bright 2. Actually, I guess we should see. This is the person who writes Brocolli. Never tweeted. There's not a lot of discussion, it looks like. What is the current version? What about unit testing? Evaluate unit testing. I don't know how that works. Unit testing, test-driven design. Let's look at this. Tags. Okay, they are up to past 1.0. That reassures me. All right, we're going to use this. Since it might be super fast. Need to look into how to write the server, though. And we also need to evaluate this actually goes away if we use Brocolli. Is there a strikeout? No? Anyway, I think I actually need to use the bathroom. So I am going to just stop the stream right now. I think I've gotten a good chunk of work done. I might resume this tomorrow, but I think I'm done for the day. Need to do some other things. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.